Shalom to all our viewers, welcome to Israeli Salad. This week we'll learn about the architectural history of Tel Aviv, and stay tuned for plenty of music from the Moshav band. So, let's get the show on the road. Before we go over to our Moshav band feature, I want to take you to Tel Aviv. I visited Tel Aviv on a day when the UN honored the city's unique architectural character. Tel Aviv, Tel Aviv. You know, the coastal city of Tel Aviv is famous for its national historical sites, like the Independence Hall, where the State of Israel was declared, and for its modern sites, like the skyscrapers in this city. But today, Tel Aviv is also internationally famous, as the United Nations declared Tel Aviv as a site with international cultural significance. This declaration came thanks to buildings like this one. The clean white buildings that were built in Tel Aviv between the early 1930s until the 1950s gave Tel Aviv the nickname the White City. UNESCO, the UN's education, scientific, and cultural organization, officially listed the White City as a World Heritage Site. Only 7 modern cities in the world are on the World Heritage List.
The White City of Tel Aviv, the modern movement, has been inscribed upon the World Heritage List of the Convention for the Protection of the World Cultural and Natural Heritage 1972. Inscription on this list confirms its outstanding universal value, which deserves protection for the sake of humanity.
The new town of Tel Aviv, reads the official document of UNESCO, is an outstanding example of new town planning and architecture in the early 20th century, adapted to the requirements of a particular cultural and geographic context.
Your city illustrates the treasure of modern heritage, one of the most underrepresented themes on the World Heritage List. I strongly encourage you to do your utmost to protect this unique heritage of humankind.
Tel Aviv was founded in 1909 and developed under the British mandate during the years 1920 to 1948. The White City was constructed from the early 1930s till 1948 based on the urban plan by Sir Patrick Geddes' reflecting modern organic planning principles.
In the 1930s, graduates of the Bauhaus Architecture School came to Tel Aviv and designed nearly 4,000 buildings in this city. The main influences to modernist architecture in Tel Aviv came from the teachings of the Bauhaus, which called for functionalism, simplicity, and building according to the practical needs of the residents. The construction of the White City was based on an urban plan, reflecting modern organic planning principles. For example, in Tel Aviv you can see how the buildings built in the Bauhaus tradition were designed with large balconies. These balconies are convenient in the hot and dry weather of Tel Aviv. In addition, joint yards were added to many of the buildings, and these fit the social community lifestyle of the residents of Tel Aviv. Throughout the years, Tel Aviv's white buildings turned gray, and it was hard to understand where the name the White City came from. Today, the Tel Aviv municipality is renewing and restoring the city's buildings, and the declaration of UNESCO will surely motivate Tel Aviv to continue to preserve its architectural heritage.
Today,
the international cultural community tells us, and the whole world, that this White City, our Tel Aviv, is a hidden treasure of an international style of architecture. It's an asset of human culture which must be honorably preserved. We're very proud. Between all these buildings, dozens of trees were planted throughout this boulevard. These trees make this place an even more beautiful place to visit. So remember, next time you come to visit Israel, don't forget to come and visit Rothschild Boulevard in Tel Aviv. So from Tel Aviv, that's all for now. We'll be back in the studio right after this.
You are watching Israel National News TV.
They've got the English and the Hebrew. They've got the beat and the soul, the depth and the entertainment. They're the Moshav band, who I met at the Barbie Club in Kfar Saba. Enjoy the music.
We grew up together on Moshav Modi'in. We're actually three brothers in the band, three Solomons, and David.
We grew up like a couple of doors down from each other. We were always playing music since a very young age. I think the band just happened naturally.
My father was always playing around the house, and we picked up his instruments here and there.
And from a young age, we just started playing together on the Moshav, not professionally or anything, just jamming, and started writing some songs, and then we started playing in town.
All right.
Break me down to the end and push me past the border. And who is there to blame? In the end, it's all the same. We will return. We got called to do our first tour in the States for like college campuses, Hillel houses and stuff. And it went very well. And we figured we'll move there. And so that's what we're doing there now. But I keep holding on to these dreams I can't let go of. The style of the Moshav band, it's constantly growing, it's constantly changing. We try to incorporate everything we grew up with or heard that we think is good.
So we do a little country influenced, which could be considered like bluegrass.
We have a lot of Irish jigs in our music, or reggae.
Irish would sound something like, let's see.
Singing when the bell started ringing, I'll be on my way.
You know, at home we always had, our parents played really good music, world music, and we try to bring that into Jewish music because I think that's an element that's missing so much in Jewish music. We wanted to play Jewish music that we actually like.
When music does become a prayer, and it's used only for that reason, then the world could be a much better place.
Zaka, Zaka, עברת בי כמו תפילה, דמעה טובה, נושקת בי את יופייך, עצוב ומאושר, לה 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 לה, לה 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 לה. Our influences on our music is a huge range of different figures, from Rabbi Shlomo Karlibach on top, obviously, who was our teacher and founder of the Moshav that we grew up on and was very instrumental. But you know, people like Bob Marley, Bob Dylan, Neil Young, Cat Stevens, Van Morrison, and the list goes on and on.
I don't know how anyone in the world could really hang out with, near my dad, grow up near my father without feeling influenced, because he was just such an amazing presence and he's just beautiful in every way. So it makes a lot of sense that he would have been one of their main influences.
Just, take whatever feels good to you, try to elevate it and bring it into your own music.
I think my father wanted everybody in the world to do what they were supposed to do. And if that meant to do his songs, fine. If that meant to pave their own path, my father never wanted anyone to do what anyone else did. He always wanted them to follow their own dreams. And so in that sense, yeah, I think they probably are very much living up to what my father would have hoped.
But in Judaism, I feel like when you're talented, it doesn't mean that you deserve more. It means that you can give more. And it's that's one of the biggest struggles that everybody always has.
I think each one of us is has a lot of different things pulling them in different directions. So that hopefully widens the appeal, to all different types of audience.
Our crowd is very diverse, and that's the beauty, and they could all relate to it, even though we're singing in Hebrew or we're singing something holy. But I feel like if you make it real and it's coming from a real place, and the music feels good, then anyone could relate to it. Na 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 na. Yeah, say them over bed over move na. Let's let the yo na 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 na. Say the move bed ni ni. Say no na 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 na.
Bad news is there everywhere. I shut my eyes, shut my ears and mouth. 'Cause I know
it feels like a tiny drop in the bucket, but hopefully, if it does anything good for anyone, I know it does something good for me. So coming here and being in Israel, so yeah, it feels great.
It's very hard. It's very sad what's going on. I mean, the terrorism and the everything. Any happiness that we could bring to people through music is a huge blessing for us and for everyone else there. I just feel like the Jews have to really be strong and unite at these hard times, and just be together, because there's no one else out there that's gonna, there's no one else out there that cares about us as much as that we should really be strong and united.
for everyone to see, but it's only you and me, and we have not changed. We're the same. We're still fighting windmills.
We don't feel like we really left Israel ever. Like, in our heart, Israel is definitely our home. But maybe that's a cop-out, because we are living there now for a few years now. But we just look at it as an opportunity to try to really build up a future for ourselves in music. And then the dream is to come back to Israel, settle here, raise children in Israel.
Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Sometimes, like, the biggest treasure that you ever got is planted in your backyard, and it takes going so far away, being way out there and doing what you got to do to realize that, the truth is what it was that was given to you in the beginning was much, much better than probably 90% of the stuff you're going to find out there.
Well, Israel is home, wherever you're going to be, always.
Return, it's a game. You know the rules and break them. Time and time again, you pretend to be my friend, but you're just pretending. But I keep holding on to these dreams I can't let go of. And I know in time I'll get what's mine. Whoa, if my heart is open, yeah. If my heart is open, yeah.
On one of our weekly insights, we talked with Rabbi Samson about resting on Shabbat. Today, I'd like to discuss the topic of melacha. On Shabbat, the Torah forbids us from doing any creative or destructive acts. This includes an endless list of activities: turning on a light, ripping paper, writing, driving, and more. Shalom to Rabbi David Samson in Jerusalem.
Shalom Yoni, shalom to all of our viewers.
So what's the meaning of this prohibition?
The entire idea of Shabbat is not only a day of rest so that a person will be at one with his bodily desires, but it's mainly to allow a person to tune in with his spiritual self. As a result, almost everything is forbidden, so that a person won't be mentally involved with nitty-gritty doing things. And by forbidding a person to do anything except contemplate, you kind of force him into a position where he's left just to contemplate. What a person is positively supposed to do on Shabbat, instead of working, is to contemplate God and to reach a heightened devotion, something that's impossible during the week where he has to pay attention to his day-to-day chores of work.
But let's say, for example, that I want to read a book, even with words of the Torah. Why can't I turn on the light to make things more comfortable?
That's exactly the point. A person is supposed to prepare everything Friday, so that when he goes into Shabbat, everything is ready. He is supposed to be like a king that has completed all of his work, and that nothing at all is left or remains for him to do. Just like God created the entire world in 6 days, and on the seventh day, nothing was left to do.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Samson.
The Weekly Insight is brought to you in cooperation with Machon Meir, the largest Zionist institute in Israel, bringing people closer to Judaism.